How many times have you promised yourself you would change your life? Wake up earlier, work out every day, read more, study with focus, cut bad habits, become a brand new version of yourself. Maybe you even wrote your goals in a notebook or posted about them on social media, full of confidence. And in the beginning it seemed possible. For the first 2 days your energy was high, your motivation alive. But then reality hit. The alarm went off and you hit snooze. The workout turned into excuses. The book stayed on the shelf and "I'll start tomorrow" became your daily soundtrack. Does that sound familiar? You're not alone. Studies show that about 80% of people abandon their New Year's resolutions by early February. It's almost a human default. That initial spark fades and comfort wins. Most people believe it happens because they're lazy, weak, or just not disciplined enough. But here's the truth. No one tells you the problem isn't laziness. The problem is the method. You try to change the wrong way. Your strategy is fragile, and almost always it starts with the classic mistake of trying to change everything at once. You want to become a marathon runner overnight when you haven't even trained for a single mile. You promise to read a book a week when you haven't built the habit of reading a single page. Meanwhile, in Japan, even the most distracted students manage to stay consistent for months, years, even decades. Not because they were born with superhuman motivation, not because they're genetically different, but because they follow strategies so simple they destroy every excuse. That's the difference between Western and Eastern approaches. In the West, the culture of go big or go home dominates. Gyms, diets, productivity gurus, they promise radical transformations, quick and explosive. In the East, the foundation is different. It's about process, patience, constancy, respect for time. Discipline is not about fireworks. It's about steady construction. The Japanese understand something we forget. Motivation is unstable, but discipline can be trained. And more than that, they know discipline doesn't come from brute force. It comes from rituals, from environment, from habits so small they slip under your excuses until they become unshakable. Take the philosophy of Shu-Ha-Ri, a traditional Japanese model of learning. It describes 3 stages of mastery. Shu, follow the rules, learn the forms, respect the basics. Break and adapt, discover your own path. Ri, transcend the forms, act with natural flow, because discipline has become part of you. This cycle can last years, but it teaches one simple truth. You don't leap to mastery. You repeat the basics until they become second nature. That's the shock most people don't want to face. You fail because you want Ri results with Shu practice. You want the freedom of a master without the repetition of a beginner. You crave the trophy but skip the training, and here's the data to prove it. According to Charles Duhigg, author of The Power of Habit, our brains run on habit loops: cue, routine, reward. Once that loop is built, it runs almost automatically. But the only way to build it is by choosing one habit at a time and repeating it until it locks in. That's how the Japanese sustain discipline for decades. Now imagine your life if instead of trying to change everything at once, you mastered one change at a time. If instead of depending on random bursts of motivation, you had a system so small, so consistent, that even on your worst days, you could still keep going. That's the turning point. Japanese discipline isn't just about working harder or studying more. It's a philosophy of life. It's about creating rituals that make you consistent. It's about seeing habits not as chores, but as part of the path. While many in the West keep starting and quitting, the Japanese keep building. Slowly, patiently, respecting the process. And that's the wisdom I'm going to share with you. In the next chapters, you'll discover 7 Japanese strategies of discipline that can transform your life. You'll learn why starting small is more powerful than trying to start big. You'll see how your environment can become a command for focus, how just 1% of improvement per day multiplies into massive change, and how to bounce back from failure instantly without losing momentum. All grounded in Eastern philosophy, modern psychology, and practical examples you can apply today. But before we continue, let me invite you to support this channel. Creating content like this takes research, time, and dedication. If this message already resonates with you, consider becoming a channel member. You'll get exclusive content, behind-the-scenes material, and most importantly, you'll help keep this mission alive, spreading real strategies that help people grow. Now get ready. In the next part, we'll step inside the heart of Japanese discipline. You'll see exactly how it's built step by step and why it works even for people who've failed countless times before. Think about it. Most of your failed attempts to change followed the same pattern. You tried to change too much, too fast. You promised to wake up early, exercise daily, eat clean, study for hours, meditate, save money, be more productive, all at once. But that approach is like trying to build a skyscraper starting from the top floor. It collapses every time. In Japan, the mindset is different. They've learned that real change doesn't come from explosive force. It comes from strategic consistency. There's a Japanese saying, "The bamboo that bends is stronger than the oak that resists." Discipline doesn't demand you be an unshakable oak on day one. It asks you to be bamboo, flexible, growing steadily, resilient over time. And this is where the 7 strategies come in. Each one simple on the surface but powerful in practice. Let's walk through them one by one. Strategy 1, the single strike in. Japan, no one tries to change 20 things at once. They choose one habit only and train it until it becomes automatic. Science backs this up. Research from the American Psychological Association shows that multitasking and attempting multiple behavioral changes at once reduce efficiency by up to 40%. The more you divide your energy, the higher your chance of failing across the board. Think about Kudo, the Japanese art of archery. The archer doesn't aim to fire dozens of arrows quickly. He prepares his body, breathes deeply, and channels all his focus into one perfect shot. That's the mentality you need for habits. So if you want to change your life, don't start with a laundry list of goals. Pick one, just one. Maybe it's drinking more water. Maybe it's sleeping earlier. Maybe it's 15 minutes of study. Master that one change. Then, and only then, add the next. Discipline isn't about grand events. It's about stacking small, precise shots. Strategy 2, the micro-commitment. You think discipline means waking up and running 10 kilometers on your first day? Wrong. Discipline starts so small it feels ridiculous not to do it. This is the heart of Kaizen, the Japanese philosophy of continuous improvement. Small, steady steps that compound into massive transformation. Professor B.J. Fogg at Stanford proved this in his research on behavior design. Habits stick when they're tiny at first. Instead of, "I'll work out an hour a day," the commitment is, "I'll do 1 push-up." Instead of, "I'll read a book a week," the commitment is, "I'll read 1 page." At first, it feels laughable. But that's the secret. It's so small you have no excuse. In Japan, it's common for a new habit to begin with literally 1 minute per day. That 1 minute is enough to bypass resistance and start wiring the brain. Over time, the micro-commitment grows. 1 push-up becomes 5, then 10. 1 page becomes a chapter. What once felt insignificant becomes part of your identity. It's like planting a seed. You don't demand that it become a tree overnight. You water it little by little, trusting the invisible growth beneath the soil. Strategy 3. The sacred ritual discipline isn't only about what you do. It's also about where and how you do it. In Japan, environment is treated as part of the process. Look at the tea ceremony or chado. Every detail matters. The room, the position of the hands, the silence, the way the water is poured. The ceremony isn't really about drinking tea. It's about creating a ritual space where body and mind fall naturally into focus. Psychology calls this context-dependent memory. Your brain links behaviors to the environment in which they happen. If you always study in the same chair at the same time, your brain learns. This is where we focus. Japanese students use this constantly. They review lessons at specific desks with the same pens in the same patterns. The environment itself becomes a command. That's the key. You don't argue with laziness. You eliminate its voice by setting up rituals that trigger action before excuses even appear. Strategy 4. The 1% rule. If there's one principle worth tattooing on your mind, it's this: improve by 1% every day. This isn't just poetic. It's mathematical. A tiny 1% improvement compounded daily makes you 37 times better after 1 year. That's exponential growth. Think of the Japanese bamboo again. For years it grows underground, invisible, building its roots. Outsiders see nothing and assume nothing is happening. Then suddenly it shoots up meters in weeks. That's how discipline works. Progress is hidden until it explodes, and you don't need to wait a year. Just 5 minutes a day can change you in a month. 5 minutes of reading, 5 minutes of stretching, 5 minutes of meditation. It adds up faster than you realize. The beauty of the 1% rule is that it doesn't demand applause or motivation. It thrives in silence. While others burn out chasing intensity, you build momentum quietly. By the time they notice, it's too late to catch you. Strategy 5. Cutting excuses. You want discipline, but keep everything that sabotages you close by. Phone on the desk, TV on in the background, friends tempting you out every night. How do you expect to stay focused if you're drowning in distractions? The Japanese know discipline isn't just about adding good habits. It's about cutting what doesn't serve you. The word kair in Japanese means both to cut and to be clean, pure. It appears in the samurai's sword strike, but also in the minimalist Japanese aesthetic. What doesn't belong is removed. Look at the numbers. The average person in Brazil spends over 3 hours per day on their phone. Data Reportal 2024. That's nearly a full month wasted every year. And it's similar worldwide. It's not that people lack discipline. They're drowning in distraction. Want to change? Start with a purge. Remove what weakens you. Clear your desk. Silence notifications. Structure your environment so focus is the default, not the fight. Discipline isn't about infinite resistance. It's about smart design. Strategy 6. The instant restart in Japan. There's a saying, Nanakarobi Yaoki. Fall 7 times, stand up 8. Mistakes aren't excuses to quit. If you fail today, you restart tomorrow as if nothing happened. That's the mentality that separates the disciplined from the defeated. In the West, we dramatize failure. You miss one workout and say, I'll start again Monday. You break your diet and spiral into weeks of excuses. A single slip becomes a full collapse. But psychology shows lapses don't destroy habits, delays do. In Atomic Habits, James Clear explains, real discipline isn't about never missing. It's about never missing twice. That's the Japanese approach. They accept mistakes as part of the journey. What matters isn't perfection. What matters is the speed of recovery. Notice what all these strategies have in common. They simplify. They strip away the noise. They respect time. While you wait for motivation to show up, the Japanese lean on systems so small and so consistent, they don't need motivation. They just follow through day after day, almost automatically. And that's the conflict. Most people are fighting with the wrong enemy. They think the problem is laziness, but the real enemy is bad strategy. In the next chapter, we'll close the circle. You'll discover the final strategy, respect for the process. You'll see how this Eastern mindset changes the way you see effort, results, and even who you are. And at the end, you'll face a choice. Stay stuck in the cycle of quitting, or embrace these principles and transform for good. Discipline is not about never failing. Discipline is about how quickly you stand back up. It's about understanding that every small step matters, every repetition counts, and every practice is part of the result. This brings us to the 7th and most important Japanese strategy, respect for the process. Respect for the process in the West, we celebrate only the outcome. The medal, the promotion, the Instagram post, the before and after photo. We chase applause, validation, and visible results. But in Japan, the value lies in the journey itself. The training is as sacred as the trophy. Think about martial arts, judo, karate, kendo. Students repeat the same movements thousands of times. Not because it's exciting, but because they know mastery is born in repetition. A black belt is not someone who has won the most fights. A black belt is someone who has respected every practice, day after day, year after year. This mindset also lives in Zen Buddhism. For the monks, sweeping the temple floor is as important as meditation. The act itself, done with attention, becomes a path to wisdom. No separation between the ordinary and the spiritual. The respect for process turns everything into practice, and here's the hard truth. If you can't learn to value daily practice, you will always be a slave to results. You'll quit when change feels too slow. You'll despair when progress isn't visible. But once the process itself becomes your reward, the results come naturally, almost inevitably. Discipline as a philosophy. Discipline isn't a productivity hack. It's a way of living. It's seeing every repetition, every ritual, every small effort as part of who you are. The psychologist Anders Ericsson, who studied deliberate practice, showed that excellence in any field doesn't come from natural talent. It comes from intentional, consistent practice over time. Pianists, athletes, scientists, all masters arrive at greatness by respecting the process. There are no shortcuts. Health science echoes this. Research published in the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine found that consistent lifestyle changes, sleep, diet, exercise, reduce the risk of chronic diseases by up to 40%. Respecting the process doesn't just build discipline, it literally extends your life. In Japan, this mentality is everywhere. A carpenter doesn't see only wood, he sees a chance to perfect his craft. A potter doesn't see only clay, he sees practice in every spin of the wheel. The process itself becomes sacred. The samurai Musashi once wrote, "The way of discipline is the way of life." That's not a metaphor, it's a blueprint, the final conflict, and this is the real conflict you face. While you wait for motivation, someone else, maybe halfway across the world, is practicing quietly. Today, tomorrow, next year. When you meet that person, you'll call them lucky. But it wasn't luck. It was invisible discipline built day by day. That's the difference discipline makes. It hides in plain sight. It doesn't show itself in the first week. But over months and years, it builds a gap so wide it looks like destiny. But it isn't destiny, it's process. Most people will keep living in the cycle of excitement and collapse. But a few will embrace this mindset, to respect the process, to show up daily, to make discipline their foundation. The question is, which side will you choose? Final reflection, now the choice is yours. You can keep being a victim of your lack of discipline, stuck in endless restarts, always waiting for the perfect Monday, the perfect month, the perfect new year. Or you can live differently. You can embrace the principles you've just learned, the single strike, focusing on one change at a time. The micro-commitment, starting so small you can't fail. The sacred ritual, turning your environment into your ally. The 1% rule, stacking exponential growth. Cutting excuses, removing what sabotages you. The instant restart, bouncing back fast. And above all, respecting the process, honoring every step as part of your transformation. Discipline over motivation, path over destination, process over results. That's the essence of Japanese wisdom. The decision, in the end, it all comes down to this. Will you stay a tourist in the world of builders, or will you become a builder of your own life? Discipline doesn't wait. It's practiced now. In the next minute, in the next habit, in the next choice you make. While you think about starting, someone else is already applying. And the difference between you grows every single day. So if this message sparked something inside you, write in the comments, discipline over motivation. Let that be your first step. And if this video resonated, subscribe and hit the bell. Every week, new content drops here to destroy laziness and build real habits. And share this with that friend who always says, next year I'll change. Spoiler, they won't, unless they watch this. The decision is yours. Your future self, disciplined or distracted, depends on what you do after this video ends.